I was one of the members who was present there on behalf of my party. It was a exceptionally detailed analysis which was given to everybody. The Congress party was represented there by Shri Ibobi Singh, the 3-term former Chief Minister. All the other parties were there, and we were given a complete kaleidoscope, really, of what has gone wrong in Manipur. And these are legacy issues. Manipur is not the result, today's conflagration in Manipur is not the result of the last 10 years, let's face it. It's the result of almost 50 to 60 years of strife in Manipur. The fact of the matter is that this entire issue has boiled over, not now, it has boiled over 3 or 4 times in a major way through the 80s and the 90s. This was somehow capped until, very unfortunately, the Manipur High Court in a PIL suddenly woke up one fine morning. In a 20-minute hearing without pleadings being completed, the High Court passed what, according to me, is one of the most ill-advised orders that this country has ever seen, of giving a direction to the state government to immediately consider within 4 weeks the giving of ST status to a particular community. Firstly, this is totally without jurisdiction because the state government can't do it. It's something only the central government can do. So the High Court not only passed a totally erroneous order, but passed an order without hearing all the parties, without affidavits being completed, without any kind of rationale or logic. It simply passed an order which the Supreme Court severely deprecated. The Chief Justice's Court on 19th of May severely deprecated the High Court order. But I believe the central government missed a trick there. I believe the central government, in asking for the matter to be remanded back to the High Court to be heard there, was a huge error. And I pointed this out at the meeting, that the central government should have been happy to let the matter rest in the Supreme Court's lap. Because we have seen that the people of this country have great faith in the Supreme Court. Look at the classic case of Babri Masjid, Ram Janmabhoomi dispute. For decades, this dispute could not be resolved until the Supreme Court sat down, gave a judgment, and both parties accepted it graciously. So I believe that if this issue had been left to the Supreme Court, tempers would have cooled. Instead, the matter went back to the High Court, and the High Court, again in a totally ill-advised order, instead of cancelling the last order, simply revised the order and said, all right, instead of 4 weeks, you take 1 year to decide this matter. Which means the sword of Damocles, therefore, kept hanging, and this is what has constantly created the kind of friction that we have seen. Mr. Chairman, I have to say that what has happened in Manipur today is, as Mr. Patnaik says, heart-rending. And he has asked me to, in fact, mention in the all-party meeting and to speak today and say that all parties must speak in one voice. What this parliament cannot afford is a no-confidence motion against the central government, because every political party must give their constructive suggestion at the moment to say what is possible, what can be done, because you are really trying to fit a square peg in a round hole there. That's the problem today. So therefore, you have to give constructive suggestions rather than blaming the central government for what is clearly a legacy issue running back several decades. There is no question that blame has to be apportioned to the state government. Every right-thinking person has said so. Every right-thinking person has said that the Chief Minister ought to have conducted his politics and his policies on the basis of Raj Dharma, which perhaps has been lacking there. There is no doubt about it. But I don't know whether the central government would have been better advised to have brought in President's rule, because clearly there was no alternative to this Chief Minister. Therefore, if the President's rule had to be imposed there, I'm not sure that in this country has ever worked satisfactorily in other states as well. So it is really a Hobson's choice, and that the central government was confronted with. And that is something that I think all political parties honestly should have considered and should have felt, therefore, that the need of the hour is to speak in one voice and not to speak in a fractious tone. And I'm going to conclude in a short while. The heart-rending scenes that we have seen with regard to the atrocities on women in Manipur is not new to us. This is seen everywhere in the world where there is strife, where there is this kind of conflict. where there is this sort of internecine warfare. We have seen this in sub-Saharan African nations, in Burundi, between the Hutus and the Tutsis. We've seen this in Rwanda, for instance. We've seen this in Bosnia-Herzegovina. We've seen this in Serbia. So this is endemic, unfortunately, to our society and our polity. And therefore, I come to this one seminal issue, that the way forward for women's empowerment is again what Mr. Naveen Patnaik has been repeatedly requesting the central government to bring in the women's reservation bill. And I think that is one area where the central government will be seriously remiss if in the 17th Lok Sabha they don't do it, because there is a full majority. In fact, there is near unanimity. Today, all shades of political opinion in this House and the upper house are of the same opinion, that there should be women's reservation in the state assemblies as well as in central parliament. Because that is the kind of empowerment we need for women on the ground level, at the cutting edge level, at the grassroots level, to feel empowered, to feel that they have an equal stake in society, and for men to therefore feel that, look, they are now our equals, they are in as powerful position as we are, so therefore we should treat them at par. So, Mr. Chairman, this is something that I would seriously on this occasion, if there is anything on which I feel that this government, I think, lacks the confidence of this House, quite frankly, is that they have not brought
Right, so let's get you the numbers, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the entire no trust vote, when it comes to the entire numbers game that we will play out in the Rajya Sabha, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that when it comes to the BJP, currently 272 is the majority mark, and the BJP way ahead of that number with over 300 MPs backing the NDA in the entire numbers game. That is the numbers might that the BJP commands, not just with its own NDA allies, but also the support of parties like the BJD and the YSRCP. They are all backing with the NDA when it comes to the no trust vote. So is it primarily a battle of optics, ladies and gentlemen? As you can see, when it comes to the India alliance as well, the numbers are way below the achievement of a no trust, of the ends of the India alliance when it comes to the no trust vote. But as the Congress has pointed out multiple times, the aim is not to oust the government, but to compel the Prime Minister to speak, because that is the end of the India alliance, that the Prime Minister should speak in Parliament, and Rahul Gandhi is the one who's leading that charge when it comes to the India alliance. We're getting some more break.